Rangers did all that work to get back to 500, and it lasted for, well, one game.
You are Locked On Rangers, your daily Texas Rangers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are locked onto the Texas Rangers, the first and best daily Rangers podcast. I'm Bryce Patrick, a cripplingly addicted Texas Rangers fan, covered this team for 12 seasons, including all 7 as the founder and host of this podcast. Thank you all so much for making Locked On Rangers your first listen every single day. If you're not already, you can follow me on Twitter at Bryce Patrick. You can follow the show at Locked On Rangers. Hit subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform and on YouTube, where the best way you can help grow the show is to comment nearly any single thing below. Now, on today's show, we're talking about another substandard start from Jack Leiter, a really bad day for the offense, an unfortunate injury to maybe the Rangers' hottest hitter, and finally, a little bit of an updated timeline on when Nathan Eovaldi will return. Before getting all that, this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Now, the Rangers lost an ugly stinker of a game to the Kansas City Royals last night. The Kansas City Royals team, who had been just in an absolute free fall for the last a month and a half, especially over the last couple of weeks, on an L6 headed into this one. Rangers on a 4-game winning streak head into this one. So, of course, this is the game where the Royals figure it out. It was not a good day for Jack Leiter. I think a little bit better than the overall numbers would indicate, but still not a good day. 5 2/3 innings, 8 hits allowed, 6 runs, all of them earned, a couple of home runs, a trio of home runs, a couple of walks, and 4 strikeouts in this one. Not a good day by any means. Snapping the Rangers' 4-game winning streak. They have now lost just 2 games in their last, I believe, 10. And both of those have been, at least their last 9. And both of those have been subpar Jack Leiter starts, followed by subpar offensive outings. But I want to start with Jack Leiter. The problem for Jack Leiter in this one is that, he got a little bit too much of what had been ailing Kumar Rocker earlier on in this season. Jack Leiter is similar to Kumar Rocker in that they both have one pitch. Well, Rocker's is kind of a bunch of different variations of his breaking ball. But for Jack, it's his four-seam fastball. They have one pitch that's really, really, really good, but trusting their other stuff has not been something they have done a good job of this year. Now, we saw that in Rocker's most recent start, or next to most recent start. His most recent start, he had a much better job of mixing pitches, of using the cutter and the curveball in that one. Only threw a couple of sliders, but mixing in multiple different versions of his pitches, because no matter how good that one really, really, really good pitch you have is, unless you've got exceptional command of it, and something, at least one other pitch to pair it off of, and that pitch also having a good day, it's really hard to survive on just one pitch. And Leiter's not nearly as four-seam fastball heavy as he was last year. Last year, he was really reliant on that four-seam fastball. His changeup was different. He started using the cut change this year. He didn't really have a sinker last year. This year, he incorporated that more, so it kept hitters off of the fastball, because at least the first home run that he gave up, that was not a bad pitch. That was a four-seam fastball dotted on the outside edge of the plate that, well, Salvador Perez just had the best day of his season, a multi-homer day, a 3-hit day for Salvador Perez, 3 hits, 3 extra base hits, 4 RBIs, and he was just on fire in this one. Bobby Witt Jr. also had one of the best days of his season so far, his first home run at Globe Life Field, which I find difficult to believe, because Bobby Witt Jr. has been an incredible home run hitter for many seasons now, and this is now his 4th big league season. Yes, his 4th big league season, and this was his 91st career home run. His first 90, none of them were apparently at Globe Life Field. I mean, he had an 0 for, I believe, the last time, just an 0 for the series, the last time that he went to Globe Life Field. Last year, just an incredible year. And it's more incredible that he had an 0 for in any series last year when he led the American League in batting average at 332 and a 977 OPS last season with 32 bombs, but he didn't hit any so far in his big league career in Texas until this one, his home state. He is from Colleyville and one of the best players in baseball. And this was not a good offense. This is not a good offense. And well, it still happened to choose to have the best day of its life against Jack because Leiter was just throwing too many of those four-seam fastballs. He threw 37 of the four-seamer, 30 sliders, 12 changeups, just 8 sinkers, and 7 curveballs. That's normally a decent mix, but I think just taking a few more of those four-seamers and making them the two-seamers, the sinkers, keeping hitters more honest. They can't just sit on that four-seam fastball, take those sliders in the dirt, because he didn't have a good feel for that slider either. Maybe could have used more curveballs and less changeup. Honestly, the changeup has not been that good of a pitch. It's more of just another look. That's what a lot of these, third, fourth, fifth pitches are for Leiter. He's going to live by the four-seam fastball and the slider. Occasionally, that curveball looks really nasty and can kind of play up and be that second or third swing and miss pitch, but a lot of it is just getting hitters off of that four-seam fastball so they're not just able to sit on it and time it up and tee off on it like they did in this one. And honestly, I think that Jack Leiter, he needs something else. I think instead of that changeup, he's still getting that feel for it. Maybe eventually he will get the best feel for it, but it's not getting a lot of swings and misses. It's speed differential it's a fast changeup, and it doesn't have as much movement as I think initially it looked like it might have. And honestly, he spent a lot of time with Nathan Eovaldi, and I think that if he can learn how to throw a splitter, I think if he could just ditch that changeup and just have a splitter, I think that would be a perfect pairing for how incredibly good his four-seam fastball is. If he can get that down, it's a difficult pitch to get. It might not be something that, him with his, pronating versus subinating, all of that, the style of pitcher he is, it might not work with his arsenal. But I think if he could figure out a slider, I think that would really, really set up the four-seam fastball. It would also help with the sinker and just everything else. Mainly just if he can get a decent splitter, just spend some time during the season, during the All-Star break. Well, Eovaldi's probably going to be at least at the All-Star game. I don't know if he's going to be pitching in it, but we're going to talk a little about when Nathan Eovaldi is going to return later on in this show. But I think that would really be the perfect, third or fourth pitch to set up everything else in his arsenal, especially if he can get some nasty movement on that splitter. If he can just work with Nathan Eovaldi, who has got one of the nasty splitters in the league, and just help that four-seam fastball play that much better. Because he's been trying this new changeup. It's had some success, but really for the most part, it's just gotten teed off on. And when the sliders, he doesn't have a feel for that slider, when he's not throwing that sinker, when he's not throwing the other pitches enough, the hitters can just sit on that fastball as good as it is and just tee off on it. And that's exactly what happened in this game. But speaking of teeing off, that's something the Rangers did not do against Seth Lugo, who had his best start of the season, especially when it came to the strikeouts. We'll talk about why that is a problem for this Rangers offense and should be a worrying sign against a guy like Seth Lugo. All that and more right after this. This show is brought to you by Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I just realized how much money I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and I save more. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared expenses and personal accounts. You can set goals and you can stay on the same page without all that stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. Now, the Rangers offense had a bad day. Stop me if you've heard this before. You stop me? Okay. Well, I've definitely said it before, but this was an incredibly frustrating day for this Rangers offense. Now, it was a good day for Corey Seager. A couple of hits in this one, including a well, good luck double, one that just bounced off the infield. Honestly, a couple of weird bounces off the infield, including a hit by Michael Garcia, hit very, very hard right into the dirt and in front of home plate, maybe even just off the grass. It just bounced right over the infield for an RBI single in that first inning. And this one by Seager, bouncing right in front of first baseman Vinny Pasquantino and over his head, all the way for a double for Corey Seager. Also got hit by a pitch to reach base. But overall, just not a good offensive day. No Josh Smith in this lineup. Evan Carter in the leadoff spot went 0 for 2 with a hard-worked strikeout and a hit by pitch. Later was pinch hit for Sam Haggerty, who struck out in his one plate appearance because it was against lefty and it was in a game where the Rangers were still trying to claw back into, but this offense was not helping. 1 for 7 with runners in scoring position, 7 runners left on base. The only extra base hit was that chop double by Corey Seager, and the only hit with runners in scoring position was a bloop single by Alejandro Ozuna, who has just been in a really, really rough way in this one. Still 1 for 4 with an RBI single in this one, but a couple of strikeouts. 14 strikeouts for the Rangers in this one, including 9 against Seth Lugo, who is not a strikeout pitcher. He's not. He is not a guy who strikes guys out. He has got 87 different versions of his pitches. It's actually 10. He threw 9 of them. There was one of them that he didn't throw. I think it was maybe his slurve ball, but he's got so many different pitches. It's hard to keep track of all of those pitches. He threw 21 curveballs, 21 four-seam fastballs, 19 cutters, 10 sinkers, 9 changeups, 6 slurves, 4 slow curves, 4 sweepers, 2 sliders, and I don't know what other pitch that he has that he didn't throw in this one, because throwing 9 different distinctive pitches is a very difficult thing to do. And Seth Lugo was the one to do it, but he was getting a lot of swings and misses, something that he does not do. He is not a strikeout pitcher. He is a good pitcher. He is not a fluky pitcher, but you look at a lot of the expected numbers behind his numbers. He's got a 3.03 ERA on the season. His expected ERA is around 5. His expected batting average is around 280. The fastball velocity is not great. The chase rate is the bottom 5% of baseball. Rangers were chasing way out of the zone. So many sliders and sweepers in the opposite batter's box, chased by right-handed hitters, that just looked awful. His strikeout rate is in the bottom third of baseball, or at least it was until the Rangers jumped it way up there. The swing and miss rate is in the bottom 15% of baseball. This is not a guy who's striking a lot of guys out. He's getting a little bit lucky with his defense being good and kind of saving him from being worse. He doesn't really walk guys, but he is not someone who is putting up these kinds of strikeout numbers. It wasn't just the 9 strikeout. He's had a lot of swings and misses in this one by a Rangers lineup that has just confounded me. I do not understand it. I don't think that taking Josh Smith out of this lineup is the only reason why the lineup was bad. Honestly, it's just been really rough to watch Burgers at bats the last couple of days. I mean, he was 0 for 4 with a couple of strikeouts and some really ugly strikeouts too. Jonah Heim has just been in a free fall for about a month. He was one of the Rangers' few consistent hitters in the first month of the season, but he's been pretty awful for the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's been pretty frustrating to watch. And after a great day by Ezekiel Duran on Sunday, he comes in and he goes 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts and some ugly ones at that. And even Langford 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. One of them should not have been a strikeout. One of them was ball 4 with a runner on base and a bad call. But the other 2 were just 91 mile an hour four-seam fastballs or cutters at the top of the zone. One of them out of the zone, one of them in the zone that he's just swinging and missing through. I mean, one of those strikeouts was, 1, 2, 3. It was not a competitive at bat by any means. But Josh Smith was out of this lineup after winning the American League Player of the Week award. He looked much better. He was big part of the reason the Rangers offense exploded for those 16 runs twice in that series against Minnesota. Same with Evan Carter. Smith slashed 423, 500, 796, a 1269 OPS, a very, very nice OPS for the week, but he is dealing with some hamstring tightness in his left leg. It's Bruce Bochy and Josh Smith both said that it will not require an IL stint. He is day-to-day. He was dealing with that on Sunday in the game against the White Sox. He was pinch hit for late by Sam Haggerty, who has generally hit lefties a little bit better than Smith. Smith was good against lefties last year. This year, he has not been quite as effective hitting left-handed pitchers. So it was not really flagged by anybody. It was like, oh, okay, it's a late game. It's late in a game, and the Rangers are trying to get a better at bat against a lefty than with Josh Smith. So he has been dealing with that for basically this weekend, still hitting incredibly well this weekend. Hopefully, he can be back in this lineup in this game against. Well, it probably will take off against Chris Bubich as well, just to get another guy who hits lefties particularly well. Just give him an extra day of rest off of that hamstring, and then maybe we'll see him against Michael Wacha in the final game of this series. Patrick Corbin will be the starter tonight against Chris Bubich. A couple of lefties out there. Hopefully, Patrick Corbin will be able to shut down this Royals lineup that has been very shut downable for the last month and a half. But any extended time without Josh Smith is worrisome because he's been the Rangers' best hitter this season. He was the best hitter in the American League last week. Congratulations to him for winning that award, and somehow still not showing up top 10 at any position on any ballots on the All-Star game. I don't know how. He's got a 799 OPS, 7 bombs, 20 ribbies, 8 steals as a 2-WAR player playing all positions in the field outside of pitcher and catcher. He has been sensational this season. This is the second season in a row. It's not just out of nowhere. It's not like last year. It was like, oh, Josh Smith's kind of having a nice year. Maybe he's an all-star, maybe not. No, he is an all-star caliber player. This is the second season he's been doing this. And the fact that Jock Peterson showed up top 10 in DH voting and not Josh Smith is wild to me. Absolutely wild to me. This needs to be the year that Josh Smith is an all-star. If he isn't voted in by the fans, then dear God, the players and managers and whoever else is having the input to pick the non-starters, the reserves on this roster. I had been saying since all-star voting started that, yeah, no, the Rangers aren't going to have a single all-star hitter, and they shouldn't. And Josh Smith had the week of his life last week and said, hey, I'm a hitter. I'm an all-star. I should be an all-star. And I think he absolutely should. I think Seager, because it has not been a particularly inspiring shortstop class this year in the American League, might get in on reputation alone, but he has not been hitting up to his standards. He's also been hurt and missed quite a few games, so I'm not sure he will get there. Marcus Semien had to dig himself out of such a hole. Had he just been, medium or regular bad for the first couple months of the season, then this torrid hot streak of the last 9 games that he has a 9-game hitting streak and has been absolutely on fire might have propelled him at least as a reserve for this all-star team. But I'm not sure that the Rangers are going to have any hitters in this all-star game. I mean, Evan Carter, he has been coming on strong for the 23 games that he's played. Well, actually, mainly more just the last 5 or 6 or so, because in that hot streak, Evan Carter has also been absolutely en fuego, and maybe he might sneak in there, but I'm not sure he's going to have enough games. It is going to be tough for any Rangers hitter to crack this all-star team, mainly because they have not been very good. And even with those 2 16-run outbursts, the Rangers offense still not incredible by any means. I mean, the OPS plus for the team is 92. They're still 8% worse than league average. It's still a better offense than the Royals in terms of team OPS plus. The Royals are at 88 OPS plus. They are 12% worse than league average, and they still absolutely crushed Jack Leiter on what was not a very good day for him. But again, he's still such a young player. And I got to give a shout out to Caleb Bosley coming in and pitching 3 1/3 innings, finishing off this game where the Rangers didn't have to throw any other relievers after a weekend where the Rangers were absolutely gassed in the bullpen, having to throw a bullpen day on Friday, having to cover 5 innings on Saturday because of an 11-inning game, having to cover several innings, 4 innings on Sunday because Kumar Rocker had cramps and fought through 5 scoreless innings, but wasn't able to go any more than that. This bullpen was absolutely exhausted. Them having a day on Monday was helpful, but having just 2 full days of everybody in the bullpen besides Caleb Bosley having a full 2 days off is massive, is absolutely massive for this team, trying to bounce back and win yet another series, continue the series winning streak, which the Rangers can do They cannot continue their just regular old winning streak, which would have been very nice against a team that was very beatable, has been very beaten quite a bit recently, and hopefully get some better starts from their rotation in this next series and in the next one, which they might be getting some help sooner as opposed to later. We're going to talk a little bit about what we learned about Nathan Eovaldi's return, about Cody Bradford's return, and a little bit about John Gray and Josh Spores right after this. This show is brought to you by Trade Coffee. Let's be real. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's a ritual, a lifeline. It's the thing that gets you from half asleep to fully functioning. And if it's that essential, why settle for anything less than amazing? That's where Trade comes in. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the US, delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour over purist, they've got exactly what kind of roast you'll love. I took Trade's quiz and it only took a minute. The first bag they sent me was spot on. The coffee was fresh, smelled amazing, and honestly, it ruined grocery store coffee for me in the best possible way. I love their prices are comparable with grocery store brands, but the flavor is on a whole different level. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. Now, the Rangers got some good news yesterday, not during the game, because the game was full of less than great news, but about their rotation, who could use some help. Right now, the Rangers are rocking 4 starting pitchers in their rotation. Tomorrow's starting pitcher is listed as TBD, so we will figure out exactly who is throwing and when in that game on Thursday. Hopefully, you don't have to do a bullpen game in the finale of a series after a night game. That would be less than ideal. I highly doubt that Jacob deGrom will be starting on, what would be traditionally normal rest. I mean, he could, but I don't see that happening. The Rangers I think, would want to be very extra careful with him. I know he only threw 80-something pitches in his last start out there, but the return of Nathan Eovaldi is on the horizon. It is hopefully happening sooner as opposed to later. Same with Cody Bradford. Eovaldi threw a bullpen at Globe Life Field on Tuesday. This is his second since he was placed on the IL. That was back on May 29th. It was back elbow inflammation. It was basically tricep issue. That's what it was. It's written here in the Dallas Morning News as elbow inflammation, which is true, but it's not that kind of elbow inflammation, thankfully. He will also face live hitters on Saturday or Sunday at some point in Pittsburgh. And if all of that goes well, if he feels good today and tomorrow after his recovery, and then the Rangers will figure out if their righty ace is going to rejoin the team or if he is going to need a rehab stint. At this point, Bruce Bochy said that he is more leaning towards him just joining the rotation getting right back into the mix of it, which the Rangers desperately need. I mean, Eovaldi has been sensational, and it feels like forever since Nathan Eovaldi's pitched. It's only been, 18, 19. It's been like less than 3 weeks at this point, but it feels like forever ago, because the last start that Nathan Eovaldi had, he came out in the second inning, and that was definitely cause for some red flags, which you remember the Rangers said, he'd been dealing with this issue, and he probably won't even have to miss a start. And here we are, 3 weeks later, and he's not even going to throw against live hitters until this weekend, which I thought he'd be throwing against live hitters at some point this week, at some point in this homestand, but alas, that is not going to be the case for the Rangers. So if he throws a live bullpen, either if it's Saturday, then maybe Tuesday or Wednesday in that series at Baltimore is when he could return. If it's Sunday, I think that we're probably going to have to wait to see him until that series against the Mariners. The Raiders have an off day next Thursday, so hopefully that will help. But again, I'm thinking the Rangers will need to call somebody up in this span. I thought maybe if Eovaldi was ready to go, in that series against the Pirates, then the Rangers would be fine. They wouldn't have to make some extra move in their rotation, but I don't think that is going to be the case. We're going to see Corbin in this game tonight, and then tomorrow, who knows? Who knows exactly what's going to be happening there? Because I don't think that they're going to have both Rocker and DeGrom throw on, normal to shorter rest in the Thursday and Friday games. Maybe that's the case, but I don't think that is going to be what goes down this week with the Rangers rotation. As for Cody Bradford, he is going to start a rehab assignment maybe this weekend. The goal is this weekend, but he had been dealing with an illness the last couple of days, so he was pushed back a little bit. Was dealing with a fever on Tuesday, so we'll see exactly how long that takes. Again, last week they were saying that by the 4th of July, Bradford should be built up to about 4 pitches or 5 innings, and maybe that's 75-ish pitches. So say he starts a rehab outing Saturday. Then you go on normal rest. He would start again on Thursday. So that'd be 2 rehab outings. If he goes for 3, then that would be on the 30th. That would get him back about that weekend series of July 4th. That's the goal. Maybe he'd be back on the 5th, or maybe they'd push it back a couple of days. I mean, we'll see exactly what it ends up looking like. But I mean, people forget about how good Cody Bradford was last year. He was very, very good as a starting pitcher, and the Rangers could use some help. I mean, starts like this by Jack Leiter, it's not an awful start. It's not oh my gosh, Jack Leiter's washed. Oh my gosh, Jack Leiter, why do you get all this hype? He's never going to be good. No, Jack Leiter is still 25. Same with Rocker. Both of them are 25 years old. And Leiter's had more seasoning at the minor league level than Rocker has. And I still think that the ceiling for Rocker might be higher than Leiter. It kind of depends on how much he can start to trust the sinker and some of the 3rd, 4th, 5th pitches in his arsenal. It honestly depends a lot on how good that changeup is, or if he can just scrap that and just straight up get a splitter. I think that would be a very, very effective pitch for him, like I said earlier. But again, both those guys are still very young, but this Rangers team is contending right now. They need the best 5 arms in this rotation every time through, as healthy as they can get. And right now with Eovaldi and Malley on the IL, it's making the Rangers start more games from Rocker than they would like to. Right now, they would prefer that Rocker was in the minor leagues working on some of the things that he needs to work on. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if, kind of soon Jack Leiter ends up heading back down to the minors and has some things that he needs to work on as well. But you can't do that until everybody else gets healthy. If the Rangers got a healthy Eovaldi right now, if they got a healthy Cody Bradford right now, I don't know that Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker would be in this rotation right this minute. I don't think Patrick Corbin would be the one kicked to the curb or kicked to a long relief role. I don't think that would be the case, because Corbin has been solid. He's been fine. He's not been great, but he has not had any blow-up starts at all this season, which is not what you can say for the rookies in Leiter and Rocker, which, again, not to poo-poo their future. Those kids still have incredibly bright futures. I have been very, very encouraged by some of the breakthroughs that both of those kids have had this season, with Rocker debuting that cutter a couple of starts ago and him mixing it in with the other breaking stuff, with both versions of his fastball and occasionally the changeup in that start on Sunday, where he powered through it and made it through 5 innings of shutout ball. I know it was against the White Sox, but it was still a very, very encouraging start for Kumar Rocker. And with Leiter, he's just sitting up there in the upper 90. This is not where his fastball was playing earlier. And it is not like he is just, using every muscle fiber of his being to throw 99. It is easy gas. It is easy. And he is commanding the fastball much better than he had in the past. It's still not great. It's still not even quite good. But when your raw stuff is that good, and it took a leap up this year. I don't know what he did this offseason to just throw the fastball harder. And don't think that velocity is a bad thing. I think a lot of times people overthink things of like, oh, we're too obsessed with velocity. I'd much rather a guy throw 91 exactly where he wanted to than 99. No, velocity is very important. Overall stuff is very, very important. Command is also important, but there is a reason the entire baseball industry is obsessed with velocity. It gives you that much more margin for error. Now, if you miss your spot with 99, 100, 102, it is much harder for a hitter to catch up to it and destroy it than it is for a hitter who misses their spot at 88 or 91 with the fastball. It is just that much different and that much easier to get away with having less than stellar command. Now, he's still made some big breakthroughs. I still think there's a lot more developmental meat on the bone. And I think even a higher ceiling than I initially anticipated with Jack Leiter, with the developments that he's had this year, with adding in that sinker. When we saw Hunter Brown last year, I mean, there's a similar profile here, except Jack has a little bit different of an arsenal. I don't think Hunter Brown has a slider specifically, but Hunter Brown had a really good fastball and a really good breaking ball, and that fastball was getting lit up, even with the velocity, even with a little bit better command than Leiter currently has for it. But when he added that sinker and he started trusting it a little bit more, look at Hunter Brown's numbers from this year. They are incredible. I'm not saying that Jack Leiter is going to be doing that, next year, but I'm not saying that. Honestly, it even took Brown, like last year, Brown was awful in the first 2 months of the season. And then basically from, late May, June on, he was not quite this good, but just about this good. So there are still some tweaks to be made by Jack Leiter, by Kumar Rocker, but this Rangers rotation needs a little bit of help because this offense that I thought was breaking through last week, maybe just the Twins were having a truly horrendous 2 out of 3 days, and this offense is still what we thought it is. I'm hoping it's not, but if that's the case, then hopefully that Evo return and that Bradford return, and maybe even that John Gray return, who, by the way, he's about to start throwing bullpens. Josh Sborz is about to start throwing bullpens, and then after Josh Sborz' next bullpen, he is going to start a rehab assignment. We'll see when we end up getting Sborz and John Gray back, and if John Gray is even going to be brought back as a starter. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. Maybe he slots, but every extra arm this team has really helps with the margin for error for this offense after a truly horrific day against a good pitcher, but not nearly as good as the Rangers made him look. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you all so much for listening and subscribing, and until next time, don't forget to enjoy baseball.